Welcome everyone to another video. My name is Harold, aka Hags, and today I want to share with you how to price up a property purchase for a rental. This could be as a HMO, this could be as a residential, this could be Airbnb, and the rest. All the rules pretty much apply the same. So stay till the end where I give you a breakdown of all the costs that you want to get involved and also how to find exactly how much you potentially will make once you purchase the property. So you need to really narrow down exactly the strategy you want to go for, whether it's turning a property into a room-by-room basis. Are you happy to do an Airbnb style where you glamorize it and do short-term lets that way? Or just a standard residential purchase? Once you have figured that out, you need to now find out the type of property you actually want to buy. And for me, I've said this about every other type of property I want to purchase. Freehold, whether it's an end of terrace, semi-detached, detached, and the rest. Not only that, you want some works to be done to the property. You want to at least know you can add value to this property. It's not the same with flipping property, because with flipping, you really need absolutely everything to do. Whereas with a property you're going to let, which means you're going to hold on for a lot longer time, and of course over time, the property price will constantly appreciate. But things such as simple cosmetic things, and maybe a new kitchen, maybe a new bathroom, minor things like that. But of course, it comes down to purchasing property at a good price, which we'll talk about in a minute. Once you've figured those out, you want to now go and look at the floor plan of the property. If you're doing a HMO style, you want to make sure the size of the room is good enough for a double. If you're doing Airbnb, you want to make sure you can vision the final process of how the property will look really glammed up to really stand out from the rest. And of course, if it's residential, just make it look clean and tidy. And of course, some minor cosmetic works can also be done to add that value at the end of it. So now, moving on to the costs of everything. Starting off with the purchase price, probably one of the most important things. It's not as much of a problem to purchase a property slightly higher than if you were to flip it. So if you want to pay a bit more for it, then of course, it's not going to really hurt as much. It just means if you're purchasing it as a mortgage, you can't pull as much out, but if you're purchasing it as cash, it's not really the end of the world anyway. Stamp duty now, 3%, add that in, you can't change that. Now, the refurb cost. I know it may be more just cosmetic works, but it's always good to really get a good understanding of how much you're going to pay for a refurb. And I wouldn't add a cushion, which I do with majority of my projects, mainly because I flip more properties. But with adding the costs, you want to make sure you really keep it low, but also make sure the property is done up to a very good standard. So if you're doing a HMO style, of course, you're going to put down more money. Simple as, because you need to make sure all the rooms are to standard, fire doors, etc. If it's an Airbnb, of course, it's more or less glamorizing the property rather than doing more work to it. And then finally, a residential property, wanting to just make sure it's just clean and tidy, maybe new carpets, new bathroom, new kitchen, and a few things like that. So once you've got those costs in place, you want to add your solicitor fee, and this will be a one-time thing, because of course flipping it is another story. And of course, if you're purchasing it as a mortgage, figure out all those costs, speak to a mortgage broker and actually understand how much the cost will come down to those things. So now once you've got those costs in place and you've realized, okay, this is what I want to do, I found my strategy now, this is where you need to find out how much of a return am I making from this. I know a lot of people talk about percentages. Even with my flips, I'm not really a percentages sort of person. I'm more like, if I do my numbers, find a resale value, and I'm very happy with the flip potential, why am I going to worry so much about percentages? Anyway, we'll put percentages to the side now. But going back to what I was saying, you can use spare room to find out exactly how much a room-by-room basis would cost. If you're doing a short-term let, you can find out, of course, on Airbnb and short-term rental websites like that one to really find out how much people are putting their properties up for and whether or not you can sort of beat them to the higher price, making sure your property is all glamorized. And then if it's a standard residential, you can use Rightmove, and the recent let properties on that website will pretty much show you exactly how much you can rent the property for. So now, to finalise it all, you've got all your purchase costs, refurb costs, so on. This is where you come into play and find out how much your return is each month and whether or not you are pretty much happy with it. If you're mortgaging the property, of course, you can look to pull that out. You can remortgage it, pull that money out, and of course, just rent out that way. I've always been a thing for leaving your money in the property, and if you can own it outright, of course, that's the most ideal situation. I know people say there's good debt and bad debt. We'll save that story for another day. That's exactly how I would price up a rental property. I have a residential one myself, and the reason why I haven't gone down any other avenue with it is because it brings back a very good return anyway. And I'm very happy with a monthly rent on that. And not only that, I've gained a very, very healthy appreciation value, and we're only talking 2.5 or so years. Add these factors into consideration, and always remember, a standard residential property will probably have less maintenance than a HMO style or a short-term let. But of course, do your numbers, make sure you've got all your fees involved. I've been Hagel, aka Hags. Don't forget the name, and I'll catch you in the next video.